All right, let's see if we can machete our way through another of these here. So we have cosine of x is equal to negative square root of 3 over 2. We have our triangles over here. We're solving from 0 to 2 pi, only one revolution. This is not quadrantal, right? So we are going to solve with the triangles. All right, so which happens first? The reference angle or the quadrant check? What's our rule? The rule is alphabetical order. Q comes before R, quadrant check, and then the reference angle. So quadrant check. And with the quadrant check, we don't care about this root 3 over 2. All we care about is the negative. Where is cosine negative? Well, I think we talked about this before. Where is cosine negative? Cosine is positive in quadrants 1 and 4. Cosine must be negative in quadrants 2 and 3. So we have a quadrant 2 solution, quadrant 3 solution. Just write them down. So you're not done until you find those two solutions. All right? So once we've done this, we've taken into account the negative. We may now ignore this negative sign for the rest of the problem. All right? Quadrant check, and then we have reference angle. All right? Reference angle. We don't need the negative sign. We're checking, okay, so where reference angle says this. I want cosine, ignore the negative sign, because we've taken the negative into account with quadrant check. So once we've done quadrant check, it is as if this is no longer here. It is there, but it is as if it's no longer there. So we may ignore the negative sign. So when is cosine? Cosine is radical 3 over 2, right? So which one of these angles has cosine is radical 3 over 2? Cosine, well, SOHCAHTOA, tell us about cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Is that this angle? I'm just picking one at random. Just pick an angle at random, see if it works. If it works, you're out. If it doesn't work, try another angle. That's it. It's trial and error. So cosine, is this the angle we want? Does cosine give us root 3? No, root 3 over 2. Well, look, you can just tell. Root 3 over 2, you know you're in this triangle, because that's where the root 3 over 2 is. So it's either going to be pi over 6 or it's going to be pi over 3. One of those two must be the solution. And to know which one is which, we have to know cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. If we choose this angle, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, that would be 1/2. That is not what we want. So that's not it. We choose instead this angle. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse, that's adjacent over, yes, that's the angle we want. We do want this angle. So this tells us that x is, in fact, that angle. Again, you can think degrees all you want, but we need to write radians. That angle in radian measure is pi over 6. So the reference angle, x reference, is pi over 6. Right, this angle. And so, is that a solution? No. The solution we want is that reference angle put in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. Well, you do these same ones over and over and over and over again, you start to become familiar, right? So we have a quadrant 2 solution, and we have a quadrant 3 solution. In quadrant 2, there's pi over 6, so that's got to be 5 pi over 6. And quadrant 3 solution is here, right? So that's pi over 6. So what is this? Right, this is 1/6 plus 6/6. That's 7 pi over 6. So that tells us the solutions we're looking for. So practice that procedure. This is not difficult. It is unfamiliar. It is not challenging. It is meticulous. So be very careful. Remember what each little piece represents. You should be able to solve any basic equation of this type.